with the reject finance bill until they started killing innocent protesters. And people are like, we are tired. This is a government that does not respect the rule of law. Why would you shoot and kill an armed, innocent protester? So it's the government that is violating people's rights. It's not the people violating the government's rights. So just don't be biased. Come here with facts. Don't come here and condemn people for protesting. But anyway, Kibe, I was saying, before that guy ruined the mood. I was speaking before, but I got into a place where there was no connection. I was driving. Now, uh, that suggestion you made about leadership, I do agree with it to some point because the politicians or Ruto's government has realized has mastered the art of divide and rule. And you can see that sometimes we get disrupted and start fighting amongst ourselves. So if we were speaking in one voice and we had a leadership that we follow, I think that would be a good thing. So because you've been advocating ideas on the table and see if you can form what we are looking for. How do we work together going forward to make sure that at least is or respect your elders, but we are not here to respect you. You know what they are doing to our country, corruption and killing young people and all that, is worse than just disrespect. So we need to change. I saw this morning, I think yesterday, Anyang Nyong tweeting in 1980 he was a university lecturer, and this guy is still in government. They are not, and probably after being a governor, he will go back and vie to become a senator. So these are old people that have no ideas. They have no new ideas. They've never realized that the world is changing and now we need to do things differently. All they are demanding for is young people should respect them. So I think we need to sweep, drain the swamp and whole new generation of leaders. We fight the system, and the system will not need one person. It will not need us divided. It will need us to unite and strategize and make sure that we are the system, and the system that is open and transparent to the people will be the best ideal, will be the ideal system for Kenya by 2027 latest. So call these people, Kibe, put them on a round table, and let's all speak in one voice. Thank you.
Thank you, McKenna. The voice of the people is supreme. My guy, the people have power. If the bro, this what we are seeing is just a glimpse of the power of the people through social media. What you're seeing right now is just a glimpse of that power, the power that can change. Imagine you can hound somebody out of social media. That's the power right now of the people. Now imagine if you translate that to real power on the ground. Woo! Thank you, Maken. Appreciate that. Kay Santino, you've been chilling for a minute. Go ahead, and then we can
I've been
have.
chilling. I want to talk about a lot of things that were said real quick. I know it's the end of the conversation, but I think what you said earlier, the house always wins, was on point. And I was going back also in reference to what Miriam said. She's saying that we gotta try and maintain what's going on. I think it's like a think about like a device. It's broken. When it's broken, you don't try and fix it. You buy a new one. I think that's one thing. And if you want to put in perspective, imagine those people who are in power. They've been benefiting, they've been making great money and enjoying for a long time. So when they hear all this stuff, stop the financial bill, they hear all this stuff, these people must go. They're seeing that their what's it called, their cash cow is about to disappear, and they're willing to fight for that. That's what's basically been happening. And also, I'd like to also get a comment on the idea of you leading the Gen Z. I think you would you make a great leader, but there's many things we're not sure about the Gen Z in many ways. But the thing that we all know is they're willing to walk away from people who are leading. So if the Gen Z are willing to unite under under your what's it called, you, if they all can come together and agree and agree on several things, that I think it could work, because I don't want there to be like a false, here are the keys to the castle, and when you go to the castle the keys don't work. I think right now, what you can do at the what you're already doing is like you're delegating, you're advising, and advise, being the great advisor is not a bad thing, because I don't want, because I don't like the idea of you becoming the leader, and then every day becomes, it's all Kive's fault Mondays, all Kive's fault Tuesdays, all Kive's fault every day of the week. It doesn't make any sense. If they're willing to unite and then to say, and then we move as a structure and it's a real thing, let's go for it. And yeah, I do believe the faceless and headless and tribalist thing is been going well for a while, but I think eventually it's got to materialize, or else it's just a show. And for all we know, the finance bill was just taken away. They're waiting for people to get tired of walking on the street, then they're gonna rebrand and bring it back. Who knows? But yeah, that's my submission. Back to you, man.
All right, thank you, Kay Santino, our neighbor from the north. But Kay Santino, you spent a lot of time in Kenya, right?
I was there 3 months ago. I was there before the floods.
Ah, I mean, you spent a lot of time in Kenya. Kenya is like your first home, isn't it?
Man, do you see how many number plates from South Sudan there are? There's so many number plates. It's crazy.
All right, okay, thank you, Kay Santino. Appreciate that. Nyadimo, are you there? Nyadimo edition.
Yes, I'm there, Mr. Kibe. Thank you
Yeah, go
very
ahead,
much
man.
for giving this. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. What I want to discuss today is, one, we are in a very delicate situation as a country. And I'll go by the fact that as a generation, and show the generation what is supposed to be done at this juncture. The Gen Z and millennium might be around 5 million, 10 million, but remember, 5 million or 10 million people cannot sit together and agree on something. They must be guided by someone or some people, at least to have a direction. I want to give you maybe 3 scenarios. We are saying, yes, Ruto must go. And this question which has been coming out for the last 1 week, what next after he's gone? Are we ready for Mr. Gachagua? We say no, we're not ready for him. What next? Are we giving the Speaker of the National Assembly the mandate to act as the president for the next 60 days? Do you know a situation whereby the president is not there, the deputy president is not there, where our country might find itself in. We must find a process of midwifing this stage to a point. At the end of the day, we still have a country to support. The National Assembly, we are all under our Supreme Constitution. But remember, as at now, we don't have a functional IEBC. For we to have a functional after the president and the deputies out and we're in chaos, then some people find opportunities of even sneaking in weapons so that we can fight amongst ourselves, and that we'll hear people coming out like, now we as a tribe, we want to begin, we want our own country and such like things. It is time to reason, not with emotions. It is time to agree that the Gen Zs and the millennium, we've made a tremendous progress. And what is now important is to ensure that we identify a few people who will guide us through. 10 million people cannot guide themselves without a leader. Because that's why you see everyone comes in one way or the other is being booed. You are a traitor, you do what? Because there's no one who is there to guide the people. It's a good movement, but until we have some people to guide the think tanks who will tell us now what we think after the president has gone, this is what the Constitution provides. Let's deal with this one first, this one second, and then have a long-term solution. Otherwise, everybody in this country wishes to have a greater country. Nobody is comfortable seeing what we are going through. But the truth is, we must have a mediation forward. Otherwise, we might overthrow the president. Yes, he might go with all the cabinet and the PSS and the members of parliament. Then what next? It's a delicate balance that must be midwifed in a proper way. Thank you very much, Mr. Kibe.
All right. Thank you, Nyadimo. Kadomi, are you here?
Yes, I am, Kibe. Thank you very much for this space and giving us an opportunity to put our heads together. And like all the speakers that have spoken, we are in a very delicate time, but we must appreciate that older people, we must take the blame of being comfortable with bad governance, corruption, and we were okay with it, or maybe we were actually face conversation, like a bunge la mwananchi, but expanded in a way. And every region is able to have this conversation, just like the counties. We are seeing the demonstrations hitting every part of the country. And when these demonstrations are happening, you realize, for example, like the Baringo people, they talked about the corruption in their county. They talked about the CECs, because every region has those unique problems. But on a national level, I accept we have to move forward, but how do we move forward? And right now, of course, there's a lot of clamor. Everyone wants the space. And there's nothing wrong if someone is anointed to be a leader, but also there's the risk of hijacking the entire process, and then we lose the benefits of this process. I wish as the movement progresses, because already vijana walisema they don't want to go to State House, they don't want to go and have conversations. because they don't see any fruition that side of the conversations. But can we sit together? Can we go to KICC? Can we go to Uhuru? Can we go somewhere? Like, can we sit and what's the way forward? Yes, the IEBC bill has been signed. Is anyone discussing the time frame of having a working commission? Do we know what happens when? Where are the legal minds to carry us through that? When we say Ruto must go, let's assume he goes. Who is the caretaker of the presidency? How many months would it take to an election? Let's look at every scenario. I think people are in a situation whereby they do not still believe that anything can happen where we are. All the issues that we've raised, we know that people have not been receiving their IDs like in the last 6 months. People apply IDs, they don't get. We know the inefficiencies. We know the health sector is not working. We know what is happening with the Higher Education Board. We know even the guys who are supposed to report to the university, some of them cannot report because they don't even have the IDs, they have waiting cards. But then, what's the way forward? What's the way forward? Because if you ask me for the last 2 years, that is, actually this administration is not yet even 2 years. All this damage you're seeing until now is a damage of 1 year, 11 months. Next month is going to be the 2 years of this administration. I'm not saying the previous administration was any better, but I would say the previous administration was sort of good in putting their shit together. This one is completely not able to put their work together. We would accept legal minds coming together. We would accept more experienced people. I'm not talking about old people, experienced people in governance, in public administration, coming together and enlightening the youths. If you watch what the Gen Zs were talking yesterday on Citizen, I accept. These kids are excited, they're taking, I support them, but evidently they do not have the knowledge. They do not have the knowledge that is needed. How can we harness this energy, carry it to the next level without losing the intentions of this movement? You know, and I think that's all I have to say, Kibe. Thank you very much.
Harness the energy without losing the intention of the movement. That's a very, very well put together statement. Yeah, I made a reference the other day. I said, Gen Z are like the electricity. That electricity is very powerful, but it has to be harnessed somewhere. It has to be put to good use. We must put sockets for it to make sense. Otherwise, electricity by itself is just dangerous. You even have to put like barriers. Don't go there. That electricity has not been harnessed. It's powerful, yes. You can do a lot with it, but as long as nobody has taken it and put it into proper use, then it means nothing. So yeah, thank you, Gadomi. That's a very nice way of putting it. Good thoughts. Good thoughts. We have the brains. We just need to have the up and go. Just the get up and go kind of thing. Tomboy, what do you want to say before we bring in Luvicia?
Well, thank you. I'm happy I'm speaking just after some concern has been raised, which I really, my submission will also be answering that. I agree that at this time we really need to be more organized, just as I had said. And I'm happy with the personality of Kibe because he's someone whose understanding of the African culture really will get in sync with the perception of the majority Gen Zs. The understanding of African spirituality. Let me stroke that to religion. And also a person who can be able to bring us together as we purpose to organize ourselves should be someone with good integrity, a person of high emotional intelligence, someone who, even if you differ in opinion, they will still be there to listen to you without necessarily dropping their main vision. So I'm really supporting that. We need to get people on board, and I'm giving Kibe a deal, just as was suggested there. Pick it up. Go into inboxes of these people. They are as many as possible. You can have even over 100 people on board, and then we carry on the mantle. Like I talked of a handbook I wrote, we should consider maybe with the team, for example, that you can bring on board, you can come up with what we call a policy paper. After the policy paper will outline where are we coming from and where are we going. We are in agreement that we need a total overhaul of the system, all documented. A time reaches whereby we continue educating people on what is on the policy paper, and we follow it with actions. At the end of the day, we will achieve something. I'm answering one question, then I drop. The question that you asked me, that are you really coming up with a shadow government? I want to answer that with what is the objective of our coming together, even if Mr. Kibe suggested that he can take up the mantle and lead us towards a particular direction. Our objectives are based on what I've really collected from very many different opinions, just running through it. I believe that we collectively and unanimously aim to exercise our sovereign power as articulated in the Constitution. I also believe that for us to achieve that, we need to continuously mobilize protesters and keep and so that we engage actively and respond to the need to protest. Then I also believe that we need to sustain the pressure to the political class so that the environment become hostile. Our language. We need to recall our members of parliament. So what next? Another objective.
Tom Boyer. So you see, all these objectives he's talking about are the ones that are supposed to be decided by this group of people who come together and say, okay, these are the 5, 6, 7 objectives that we have. And these are what we're going to be pushing for the month of August. Hold up, Tom Boyer. Fix your life fast, bro. Your network is horrible.
Wow. Well, I'm waiting.
All right, just mute your mic for a second, yeah. Your network doesn't seem to want to work today. I don't know what's good. Femi, start to close it up. Give me your final submission.
My final submission is one is actually to share for
Femi, there's a button you press there.
the echo. I just saw that.
No. Go to voice. Yeah, go to the bottom. I mean, are you seeing where? Hey, how do we fix your life? You go to there's a button there that looks like fireworks. Press that button there, and then go to voice, and then in your fix that and come back. As we wait for me to fix that, Luvicia, go ahead.
Thank you, Kibe. So nimekuwa nikisikiliza the previous speakers. Of course, yeah, they are really sharing the very good news and also trying to come up with ideas on how we can move forward. So ningependa address few things. The first one ni kwamba lazima to work on easy objective zenye tunaweza achieve within a certain time frame. For example, sasa tukipush we need to recall MPs, yet hatuna IBC in place. IBC inafaa ikuwe
parliament and president wana participate kwa reconstitution kwa ya hiyo IBC, then it means hatujui kitu tunafanya. So I felt the first thing to recall, lazima mtafute signatures. Na wewe kama unakaa Nairobi, you don't vote for your hauko registered kwa certain constituency, uweze enda ukarecall that MP. It means now lazima ukuwa a registered member kwa ile constituency. So there are a lot of things tunaweza fanya. So ukienda kwa mambo na recalling MPs, itafika 2027 still hiyo process haitakuwa ime go through. So there are other things zenye now when we have a certain framework of operations, tutaangalia ideas ama zile suggestion everyone is bringing on board, we go through them, then tunaangalia zenye ziko achievable, unaona. Lakini tukikimbia tu bora idea imetokea, then we follow that, then tutafika mahali tunafika tunagonga ukuta, tunarudi huko tunagonga ukuta, zile zingine tumedrop, morali ya watu imeanza kushuka, because ukiangalia how people now are behaving nowadays, utapata kwamba now people are chasing their personal interest. Unapata ile mambo ya kureject finance bill, everybody was on board. Automatically after 2 days ikafika Ruto must go. Ukapata watu wengine waka backseat, unaona, au kuingia kwa ile motion. So unapata ideas zina keep on changing, na sasa the more watu wengine wanakuwa kwamba hawako among the au mobilize watu vizuri kuona kwamba hivi kitu tuna fight kina tusaidia sisi wote, then majority of people will start dropping, and that's how the political class is going to win. Ukiangalia the opposition on the other side hawako wanaingiana vizuri, but venye movement iliingia ulipata they joined together, they are right now in one basket, despite the fact ukiona kina Sifuna wana dance wakitoka huko wana dance, wanaanza kusema oh we don't want handshake, already ishafanyika. So wako tu huku nje to fake, but deep down they know what is happening. Ukiona kina Oparanya kina Joe wanaanza unakuwa na msuko mambo na handshake between the ODM and the rest, unajua kwamba the next years watakuwa ndani. So inamaanisha kwamba now with us as the citizen, we need to unite on ideas na tukua with pure motive. Umejua sasa the problem is kuna watu wana push Ruto must to go, na wajui what will happen after that, na kuna wanasahau kwamba kuna watu walikuwa pro Ruto despite kwamba kuna limitation. So kuna watu wana fight corruption and other things that are happening in the government, they are not targeting people. Na kuna watu the rest wana fight people instead of fighting the institutions zenye na zile vitu zinafanyika institutions. So from that point unapata kwamba we are not moving on the same lane. So it means we need a framework of operations whereby people have to analyze the required like you analyze what we are going for, then we move as a unit, and we make sure that whatever we are going for benefit everyone. For example, mtu amention mambo na IDs. For sure, hii mambo ya kusema ID na expire, unalipia almost 1,000 kupata a new to renew kama umepoteza. Those are things everywhere, affects everyone. So if you go for that, then 2 days itakuwa tumeachieve, watatupilia hizo vitu mbali. Then you move into the next thing. Move on to the next thing. So before tufika ile ya now the Ruto must go, then tutakuwa tumeachieve a lot of things before tufika to that step. So I just call upon Gen Z to sit down and try to listen and go for things that can be achievable within a certain time frame, na zenye zinakuwa logic, because vitu zingine unapata mtu anashapa kuna shtuka what does the constitution say about this. Then lastly we issue na hiyo kuna good
Lovisia, we're losing you, man.
Sorry, am I there?
Ambia wao mademo acha kupigia simu bro. Ambia uko serious saa hii, you're busy building the nation.
Nimekata hiyo nini yao, simu yao.
Aha. Basi malizia.
Okay. So nilikuwa namalizia na kusema kwamba kuna watu saa hii among the Gen Z kazi yao ni kuiba. Hata saa hii tunadanganya tu ni goons, nini. They are among us. Motive yao ni kuibia watu, which is not good, because ukienda kuiba supermarket, kuna Gen Z wenye walikuwa employed kwa hiyo supermarket. You see a politician, huyo mtu ataenda chini hivyo, hatapata pesa ya kuanzisha tena. You have killed the dreams of many people kwa kuiba pale. So within us, as long as tuna demonstrate, but pia tukue na tukiona watu wanaanza destroy other people's properties, we have to take care of them. Ndio hii movement iendelee, lakini kitafika mahali we create enemies within ourselves. Kwa mfano utapata sasa watu wanaanza protect their businesses, certain section wanaanza kusema sisi hatutaki because of destruction and other things. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity, Kibe.
Thank you, Luvisia. You know what happens? The problem we are having right now is this prolonged fight. A fight should not last that long. So this prolonged fight brings a lot of fatigue. So unasikia umechoka because una fight the same thing over and over again. Hizi ni vitu tungefaa kufanya na wiki moja na ishe na to move on. Na sasa mwenye ameshinda, mwenye ame-lose. Nothing KE, what do you have to say? Thank you, Luvisia.
Hi, Kibe. Thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to condole with the families of those we have lost and the injured, and I pray that we do not forget them. Now, allow me to address a couple of issues. I think we are focusing on what's happening in the country, and we are not addressing who is behind, who's pulling the string on the things that we are experiencing as a nation. I'm going to drop a link for you guys to watch a documentary narrated by former IMF and World Bank chiefs and an economic assassin, saying how they interfere with other countries. And when you watch that, then we should turn our guns to like embassy. We put pressure on them so that IMF can back down. On the issue of we need to have a bigger meeting, I don't think it's conceivable right now. It will require resources. I think technology has evolved to allow us to have this kind of engagement. And so if we're going to have a meeting, that meeting can happen and people can join in from across the world. Another thing I've noticed is that sometimes we give opportunity, because I've listened to a lot of spaces, we give opportunity to probably people who are already known, and you're already missing ideas on people you've never heard their names before. You don't know where they're coming from, but they hold a puzzle on where we need to go. So I would request, when you hold the spaces, if you can kindly, fairly give an opportunity to people you don't know. And then something else. Gen Zs are very vibrant, they are driven, and they have ideas. They just don't have, and they have the staying power. They just don't have the time to engage in a conversation that's heading nowhere. It's very clear in their mind what they want. I'm a student at USIU, and they've been fundraising. They're very vocal on what they want and what we
Are you a Gen Z?
Myself, yes. So, like you've seen, my handle is called Nothing KE. It's actually a company I registered called Nothing Life Nation. Because when you ask a lot of people, what are you doing? They'll tell you nothing. And I said, we need to turn this nothing into something. I've written to embassies. That's how come I realized, by the way, we are on our own. A lot of people are not here to help us. They're here to benefit themselves. Then there's the other issue of the Constitution. I don't know why people keep defending the Constitution. Again, I'll drop a link for you to watch what Magufuli explained about how this Constitution, we only understand the human right aspect of it, but we do not know that they actually use the same Constitution to control the continent. And this was said because they said the Constitution does not allow the government to do business with itself. And I don't want to dwell on that because I want to address something that was highlighted and we've been discussing about IEBC. It's alleged, and I need the lawyers to come through for us by explaining whether these are factual, that part of what we are going to use our polling station are movable vehicles. And I think that is very dangerous. So we need to hone into that, figure out, is this true on what was signed? And if indeed it's true, we need first to reverse that. On the issue of civil education, we need to ensure that people do not sit back and continue making this noise.
Wait.
Nothing.
Nothing. Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to the whole community, because this is a collective issue. It's no longer about one person. So we are always as strong as our weakest.
You see what I'm trying to avoid, and this has been my whole crusade, is for us just to talk into the darkness where there's no one who's listening, no one who's doing anything about it, because all that talking means nothing. Because everyone is going to come here with ideas, and everybody wants something changed. Some people want IEBC, others want City Hall, the counties changed. Everybody wants something. So what I don't want is us to get caught up in the also making those demands that you're not making those demands to me. You get? So who's taking responsibility of the demands that we're all making? It's too much. I'm so fatigued of hearing all these things that need to be changed. While I'm looking for people to change them with, I'm like, hey, who wants to change this shit up with me? Who's that person who's going to take up the mantle and let's go and change this shit up? I don't want to hear about what needs to be changed. I want someone who's passionate enough about whatever it is they're talking about, and they're willing to die for it. Then now we can have this changed. These are the people that I'm talking. I want around here. Because for the people who want to come and give us instructions, I have no business with those people. Because I don't want to be given instructions by anyone. I also have my own mandate. I also have things that I want to do for myself. So, nothing KE. I get where you're coming from. Let's put action behind your words. Now, go out of your own body and give us action behind what you're saying. How does that look like?
Okay, first of all, I think you're doing a good job hosting the spaces. What we need to do, first of all, is the civil education. People need to collect ideas that have not been collected. Number two, we need to agitate for this issue of we are Kenyans by birth, even if it's by naturalization. Nobody should ever pay for an ID, whether you lost it or not. That is your birthright. So we need to agitate for such things. We need also to address on the issue of this IEBC. Is it true, and we have a lawyer here, is it true that they said there's a clause that says that some of the polling station will be a vessel? If it is, we need that clause changed when we still have the time. Of paralyzing fear that, if this government vacate, we are going to go to destroy this nation. We're not looking to run away. We have nowhere to run away. Countries around us. By the way, Kenyans are not people you can mess around with. We're here to stand up for ourselves. We are saying no to the big boys who control the world. On an issue of leadership, I think it is very volatile right now to pick leaders. I think it's powerful as a leaderless movement for a myriad of reasons. Then there were people who started, the people who went with the 7 days of rage, the 7 days of justice. Those were the people who were carrying the mandate. those are the people who are leading. Because from where it is, there's a bit of fragmentation, but then the result is still the same. We need change for our nation. I thank you for your time, and I hope we can agree on something. We continue just exploring what is available, what are the options available, and I'm sure we'll do the right thing for the nation, I think. And I yield my time. Thanks, Kibe.
Thank you. Nothing, KE. Appreciate that. Thank you for coming through. Gadomi, do you want to have your final submission?
Thank you, Kibe. A quick one. I know we have great minds on this forum, and I just want to carry people through a quick thought process. We are complaining about a lot of things. We have institutions in this country, but our institution essentially take commands from politicians. A president is a politician. The CSs are politicians. The PSs are appointees of politicians. What would be wrong if we have, let's for example talk about the EACC. Who heads the EACC? If that kind of a person is brought to book, and the EACC people would tell us, why is the EACC not working? If we would bring the person who heads registration in the country, and they tell us why people don't have IDs. These are existing institutions. Let's not talk about parliament, because it's like we've lost faith in our politicians. Let's look at institutions, direct institutions. These are people, experts employed by the government, paid to run institutions. Could we go on those institutions? Let's talk about the police. Most of the time, and what we know in this country, police, they take commands from politicians, or I would say a political hierarchy. But a police and its entire leadership is professional, trained policemen. Could this police talk to the people, delinking themselves from their political appointees